Hey guys, it's Quickie Baby and I'm bringing you something very exciting. This is the T-34-3. This is the new Tier 8 Chinese premium tank, and it just got released today on Monday on the test server. I've zerged some games in it to try and give you guys my full opinion on the tank, and it's something that's really exciting. This is a Tier 8 premium tank with a 122mm cannon. If you want to forego things like gun depression to be able to have high alpha damage, then this may be the tank for you. So let's take a quick look at some stats. We can see that the tank has a fairly standard 1,300 hit points. It weighs 36 tons when fully equipped and has a fairly good engine power of 520. Now its top speed limit is an excellent 50 km an hour, and its traverse speed is also an excellent 46 degrees a second. Now its hull armor is 50 at the front, 50 at the sides, and 50 at the rear, which means that when angled, it's quite likely that you're going to be bouncing using the front. However, keep in mind that this thing has less frontal armor than, for example, the Type 59. And many of you Type 59 drivers will realize that the upper plate on the Type 59 is not fantastic, and you'll be having the same thing with the T-34-3. Turret armor on this tank is really strong, 190 at the front, 120 at the sides, but poor at the back with only 60mm. That's slightly thinner than the Type 59, which has 200, 130, 60, but still, the turret armor on this tank will be able to pull off bounces. Now for the thing that makes this tank what it is, a very special Tier 8 premium medium tank. It's got a 122mm cannon that fires just over 4 rounds a minute. Now the tank with regular rounds has got 175mm of penetration, 390 alpha. Now it's very derpy at 0.46 accuracy at 100 meters with 3.4 seconds aim time. This means that you shouldn't expect to be sniping very well in this tank unless you're literally speculative, and with the aim time that you need to be aiming for quite a while to be able to pull off those shots, which leaves you vulnerable to counterfire, especially from tanks with amazing aim time. However, there can be no doubts that having amazing alpha damage of 390 at Tier 8 is going to have a big impact in the game. The kind of speed that you're going to be able to get around the battlefield at 50 km an hour with 46 degrees traverse speed, with a fairly healthy horsepower to ton ratio, mean that you're going to be able to deliver those 390 damage alpha shots into tanks a lot quicker than, for example, an IS-3 would be able to. Also, when you think about this medium tank engaging things like Cromwells, for example, and other Tier 6 tanks, they're going to find it very, very, very hard to penetrate this. Whereas that massive 390 alpha damage is going to be simply able to wreck them. Now the turret traverse on this tank is a really good 46 degrees a second, and it's got 380 meters view range. So this is still going to be able to do some good spotting. Now one of the interesting things about this 122mm is that when it loads premium rounds, it gets 250mm of penetration with heat. What that means is if you really want to penetrate the target, you can. And with 250mm of penetration, there's no tank that you can meet that you can't penetrate frontally. And that's right, because this tank also gets preferential matchmaking. This tank cannot meet Tier 10s, and that is fantastic. When you consider that the T-34-2 is a fairly similar tank, but based on my review, I feel that the T-34-2 is just a slightly worse tank in nearly every way. The T-34-2 does not get preferential matchmaking, it has the same hit points, it's slightly lighter, but it's got a better engine power, so the T-34-2 is faster to accelerate. It's got weaker hull armor, weaker turret armor, and if you use the 122mm gun on the T-34-2, you actually have slightly worse rate of fire and slightly worse accuracy. So that means for all of you T-34-2 drivers out there who like to use the 122mm cannon, you might want to invest in getting a T-34-3 because generally it's just a slightly better tank all around. Now, I don't know if the T-34-2 has got gun depression, but the T-34-3 does definitely not have gun depression, as I will be showing you in this next gameplay footage. So guys, I've just got an example game here on Mines where I'm going to showcase to you just how bad the gun depression is on the T-34-3. So, fairly standard position, moving up to try and get counter shots on the enemy, and no, we can't. That's the limit of our gun depression. And I try and chase him so hard that I even get shot myself. Trying again. No, we don't have the gun depression there, but oh wait, oh yeah. There we go, 397 damage to that T-34-3. That's what this tank is all about. And oh, he's coming back for some more. Have him. Great. That's taking him out of the game. And also you guys can hear the Chinese voices in this tank, which is newly added. Version 8.8. Never fear, that's not unique to this tank, so if you have any Chinese vehicles, you're going to be able to have nationalized crew voices. So I don't have the gun depression, I have to pull back. We make the shot, doing a nice 428 damage to the opponent there. And here we're just trying to hunt shots, but we're really limited by our gun depression. And this is going to be a constant worry for you guys in this tank. Remember that the Type 59's gun depression is a hell of a lot better than this. Here we can see a Tiger 2 come forwards. We roll really nice on him, and we actually do more damage to that heavy tank than he was able to do to us. It's really bizarre in a way that this tank can out-trade many heavy tanks that it can meet. Fortunately, you saw that we lost our ammo rack when we gave the Tiger 2 our side armor, and there you can see our engine dying once and twice. So one thing I seriously recommend in this tank, guys, is that you do not use the speed governors. I really recommend that you use a fire extinguisher. It looks like the engine is very easily hit, and it's not worth using the speed governors in this tank. I changed that after this game. I've been set on fire, and I've seen other T-34-3s get set on fire quite frequently, so do keep an eye out for that. So you guys have seen the limitations of the tank now with the gun depression. Now let's take a look at it in some of its strengths in action. So here we go, after the nice Chinese introduction there. Let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to make use of the fairly good top speed of the T-34-3 here to rush into position. I'm playing on cliff, and so I like to fight around the EF3 area at the beginning in my medium tanks. We're going to bomb it down as quickly as we can. And that allows us to get up the slope that I'm not sure all of you will know that is traversable. But yes, it is, especially easily from this side, as you don't have to double back on yourself. But here we go, we're only 40 seconds into the game, and we're already starting to get into position where we're going to be able to poke. Okay, so we've got our first spot. Let's start to work him. We'll get the jump shot on him, and having 390 alpha damage. Each jump shot is very important. There we go, he's not so well anymore. He's already lost half his health. I'm trying not to get shot in the side, and he gets crippled again. I try and angle my armor a little bit, but it's no good. He penetrates us and he sets us on fire. He fired a heat round right through the middle of the tank. I'm not sure if that would have bounced if he'd fired a regular round, but as you can see there, the importance of using a premium fire extinguisher, or at least a regular fire extinguisher on this tank. Do not use speed governors on this tank, otherwise you will roast. So there we could see I was trying to give lead to the T-34-3 there. It was the wrong decision, as he stopped just as we fired our shot, and our shot went into the air. Gonna fire our second shell into the rock there, but we bounce a heat shell, which is always nice. It's nice to bounce those heat shells. And most of the tanks on the test server are firing heat. But as you can see, I'm not firing one heat shell because I want to test the limitations of the tank. There we can see another heat shell that went straight through our turret. But we did a really nice damaging shot to the object 416 there. So we've got a side shot on the IS-2, but you can see we're limited by our gun depression. We had to adjust our angle there to be able to penetrate him. But we were able to put a rather meaty hit into him and track him at the same time. Now we're going to try and shoot his friend. You can see that the rate of fire on this gun means that you can really do quite a lot of damage quite quickly. It's not like tier 10 mediums that've got 390 alpha. Let's be honest, they fire upwards of 7 rounds a minute. This tank has about 60% of that, firing 4 rounds a minute, just over 4 rounds a minute. But you can see here that we're still able to do very significant damage to the sides of those tanks. And the fact that we've got such high alpha damage means that we have to expose ourselves less. Here we're just trying to hunt shots on the Su-152, trying to make them happen. Now we're hunting shots on the T-34-3. Not quite going to happen. I think the camo rating on this tank is going to be fantastic, so that's something to keep an eye out for. Trying to snipe the back of the Su-152, but good luck with a tank with .46 accuracy at 100 meters. I'm going to try and keep the aggression up. I go forwards into the bush to try and get the spot, and yep, we have the spot. We make the penetrating shot, even though the gunner slung the tank about as far away from the center where we aimed it as possible. We're trying to adjust our angle so we have the gun depression to put the kill shot in there. There we can see our Chinese crew truly thrilled at our kill. So we have to expose ourselves over this edge a lot to get the gun depression to make the kill here. But we make it anyway. And just an apology for my camera, which I can see is on the blink at the moment. I won't be redoing this clip because it's really late and I want to get you guys this footage as quickly as I can. Wow, okay, great alpha damage there, and that object just got absolutely shut down. So we can see here that the only shots that we took, we got penetrated by a couple of shots this game. Both of them were heat rounds. They rolled fairly high against us. Now we're going to just finish off this T-95. Great result. Derpy game. 5 kills. We bounced 1 heat round and got penetrated by 2. Lost our engine as well, so I definitely recommend using fire extinguishers in these tanks. Speed governors is just a no-go. Well, let's take a look at some post-game stats. So here's the game we just had in our T-34-3. We managed to pick up 1,981 experience, non-double, not bad, and also 115,000 credits. We fired 15 shots and hit 12, and of the 12 that we fired, they all penetrated. I don't think that I fired any heat rounds this game, but I might have fired 1 or 2. I really wanted to show you guys that you don't need to consistently fire heat in this tank to be able to do damage in it, but it's always very nice to have that extra 250mm of penetration when you want to make it count. So we did the top damage in the game and got the top experience, and we did it quite quickly. It was quite a clean game. Fair enough, the enemies were kind of caught out, and it is a test server where they're going to be playing aggressively. But I really showed you that the alpha damage just allows this tank to really perform. The alpha damage means this tank doesn't have to expose itself very much. It's kind of like, come out, take a shot and pull back. Come out, take a shot and pull back. Wait for those opportunities, and it can be really surprising for the enemy to be bitten so hard but what they think is just a medium tank. So I really like the T-34-3. I hate the fact that it doesn't have gun depression, but it does balance the tank. If this tank did have gun depression, it would be, oh my god, get it now. I think it's a bit interesting that this tank is all round better than the T-34-2, because generally what they try and do is make the premium vehicles slightly worse. The fact that this gets preferential matchmaking means that it is definitely a purchase that I would recommend, especially if you don't already have a Type 59 and you want to have a tank to train up your Chinese medium crews and make a lot of credits in. I personally think that this tank with its crazy alpha damage might be better for solo work than the Type 59. It's less flexible, but the fact that you can bite the enemies so much harder and pull back means that you have to expose yourself less and you will probably end up taking less damage. For me, it's a coin flip between whether the 112 and the T-34-3 is going to be the better tank. I personally think that I'd rather play the 112 with its gun depression, and the fact that I already have a Type 59 means that I'd probably rather have a Chinese heavy tank. However, this is definitely one to look out for on the battlefield. Be very worried about this tank, especially if it decides that it really wants to kill you and it wants to fire heat at you, because it's going to chunk off your health and there's very little that you can do about it. When you're engaging these, realize that it has got quite long reload time. And for example, if you're a Type 59 attacking one of these, you need to shoot it twice for every time it shoots you. It's simply not good enough to trade with this tank one-on-one. I I really look forward to testing this tank out on the live server. I think it's going to be quite a performer, and I think because it has preferential matchmaking and the capabilities to fire heat rounds, I'm really looking forward to this tank. I think that it could be quite a monster of a tier 8 premium medium tank. I'd recommend this to all aggressive medium drivers who like to brawl, but just be warned that you are basically going to have no gun depression, and that limits quite a few of the positions that medium tanks can use in the game. So guys, I hope you've appreciated this review. I've stayed up really late to be able to get it to you. I hope that I've done it to as a high quality as you expect from me. If you've appreciated this, then please consider rating it down below. So if you've appreciated this video, please consider rating it down below and tell me what you think about this tank. What do you think about the T-34-3? Are you going to get one? Do you want to get one? Does it depend on the price? I don't know the price yet. I don't know if this is going to be 7,500 gold or if it's going to be more expensive. Do you think this is better than the Type 59? Do you think that this tank is balanced? That they're making a premium tank with 122mm on a medium that gets to fire heat for 250mm of penetration? Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.